Medieval England, 1350. A world so distant from our own, it feels like another planet. Yet, here, in these smoke-filled villages and stone-walled castles, real people lived, loved, suffered, and dreamed. The gap between rich and poor wasn't just about money. It was about everything. What you ate, how long you lived, whether you'd survive winter, even the air you breathed. Today, advanced AI technology allows us to transform medieval manuscripts and artwork into photorealistic recreations, bringing these lost worlds back to life. Join me as we step into the shoes of both the wealthy noble and the desperate peasant and discover what it truly meant to be alive in medieval England. The peasant's dawn. The day begins before sunrise in a one-room cottage, no glass in the windows, just wooden shutters that let in the biting cold. The floor is packed dirt, damp and muddy. You share this cramped space with your wife, 4 children, and your animals. Pigs, chickens, sometimes a cow, all huddled together for warmth. The smell is overwhelming. Unwashed bodies, animal dung, smoke from the fire pit that never quite vents properly through the hole in the thatched roof. You wake in darkness, back already aching from sleeping on a straw mattress, crawling with lice and fleas. There are no pajamas. You slept in the same rough woolen tunic you'll wear all day, all week, possibly all month. Water for washing, that's for the wealthy. You might splash your face if there's water nearby, but a full bath happens maybe twice a year, if that. Breakfast, if you can call it that, is yesterday's pottage, a thick gruel of peas, beans, and whatever vegetables you managed to grow. No meat. You're lucky to taste meat more than a few times a year. The bread is dark, heavy, made from barley or rye, hard enough to break your teeth. Many peasants do break their teeth, leaving them with painful abscesses that can kill. By the time weak sunlight filters through the shutters, you're already walking to your lord's fields. You don't own this land. You work it 3 days a week for your lord, and the other days, you frantically try to grow enough to feed your family and pay your taxes in grain, chickens, and labor. The work is backbreaking, pushing a wooden plow behind an ox if your village is lucky enough to have one, or digging with basic tools, hands blistered and bleeding, bent over for 12, 14 hours. Look at your hands. They're scarred, calloused, fingers crooked from breaks that never healed properly. You're 30 years old but look 50. Most of your teeth are gone. Your joints ache constantly. That cough that started last winter never went away. The noble's mourning. Meanwhile, 5 miles away in the manor house, the lord stirs in his bedchamber. This room alone is larger than your entire cottage. Tapestries hang on stone walls, keeping out the worst of the cold. His bed is a masterpiece. Wooden frame with curtains for privacy and warmth, stuffed with feather mattresses, fur blankets, linen sheets. He wears a nightshirt, changed weekly by servants. A servant has already lit the fire. Another brings warmed water, scented with herbs. He washes his hands and face with soap, an expensive luxury. He changes into fresh linen, then a fine woolen outer tunic dyed deep blue. His clothes are tailored, comfortable, warm. Breakfast is a feast compared to your pottage. White bread made from finest wheat flour, so soft it would seem like cake to you. Cold meat from yesterday's supper. Venison, perhaps, or roasted pork. Cheese aged in the cellars. Fresh butter. Small beer or watered wine. The hall where he eats is massive, with high ceilings, clean rushes on the floor mixed with sweet-smelling herbs, and servants hovering to refill his cup. His morning might include hearing petitions from tenants like you, reviewing accounts with his steward, or preparing for a hunt. Not work, really. Management. His hands are soft, uncalloused. At 30, he looks vigorous, healthy, with good teeth and clear skin. Food. The Great Divide. Nothing illustrates medieval inequality more starkly than food. For you, the peasant, life revolves around monotonous, barely adequate diet. Pottage. Every single day. Bread that's more survival tool than pleasure. Vegetables from your garden. Onions, leeks, cabbage, peas. Protein is rare and precious. A bit of bacon, carefully rationed. Eggs when the chickens cooperate. Hunger is your constant companion. The starving time between late winter and early summer, when last year's harvest runs out and this year's crops haven't come in, kills thousands every generation. Children with distended bellies, adults weak and listless, entire villages teetering on the edge. You never eat white bread. That's for the wealthy. Your dark, dense loaves sustain you but bring little joy. And spices, pepper, cinnamon, ginger, those are worth their weight in silver. Available only to the rich. Now, step into the great hall during a noble's feast. The tables groan, multiple courses, whole roasted swans and peacocks redressed in their feathers for display, pies filled with combinations we'd find bizarre, jellies colored with expensive saffron. The spices flow freely, transforming dishes, pepper, cloves, nutmeg, wine from Gascony, mead sweetened with honey. Entertainment between courses, minstrels, jugglers. A single noble feast could cost more than your family earns in 5 years. The waste alone could feed a village for days. Health, life, and death. When you fall ill as a peasant, your options are grim. Village-wise women know herbal remedies. Willow bark for pain, honey for wounds. Some work, many don't. Physicians trained at universities exist, but they serve the wealthy exclusively. Their fees are beyond imagining. So when your child develops a fever, you pray. You might make a pilgrimage to a saint's shrine. You try every folk remedy, and often, you watch your child die. Infant mortality is staggering. Half of all children die before age 5. Mothers frequently die in childbirth. Infections from simple cuts become death sentences. The Black Death, arriving in 1348, kills indiscriminately, but even here, class matters. Nobles flee to isolated country estates. You have nowhere to go. You die in heaps, entire families wiped out in days. For the wealthy, medicine is elaborate, if not always effective. Physicians consult urine charts, balance the body's 4 humors, prescribe rest and special diets. They have access to Theriac, an expensive cure-all. Does it work? Rarely. But it's something, which is more than you have. The rich live longer, averaging into their 50s or even 60s if they survive childhood. You rarely see 50. Your body, worn out by labor and deprivation, simply gives out. Justice. The law's 2 faces. The law itself is different for rich and poor. When you're accused of stealing, the punishment is swift and brutal. Hanging, mutilation, or branding. Trials are perfunctory. Evidence barely matters. A noble's word against yours is no contest. But when a noble commits a crime, the system bends. Trial by peers, elaborate legal proceedings, opportunities to pay fines instead of facing physical punishment. A noble who kills you might pay compensation to your lord for the lost labor, nothing to your family. Forest laws are particularly cruel. The deer, boar, and timber in the royal forests belong to the king and nobility. You, starving, kill a rabbit to feed your family, and you face hanging. Meanwhile, nobles organize elaborate hunts, slaughtering dozens of animals purely for sport. The system is designed to keep you in your place. You were born a peasant, you'll die a peasant. Social mobility is nearly impossible. The church preaches that this hierarchy is ordained by God himself. The rare moments of joy. Yet life isn't unrelenting misery. You find joy where you can. Village festivals break the monotony. Harvest celebrations, saints' days, Christmas. For brief moments, the normal order relaxes. There's dancing, drinking ale brewed communally, singing songs passed down through generations. Sundays offer rest and community. After Mass, you gather to gossip, court, play rough games. These connections, these moments of human warmth, sustain you through the grinding hardship. For nobles, leisure is woven throughout life. Hunting isn't just sport, it's social event, a display of skill and wealth. Tournaments showcase martial prowess. Feasts bring together powerful families. Troubadours sing of courtly love, creating an idealized world far removed from brutal realities. Clothing and shelter. Your clothing is coarse wool, patched and repatched, the same garments worn until they literally fall apart. In winter, you pile on layers, but the cold still penetrates. Your feet are wrapped in rags inside crude leather shoes that barely keep out the wet. The noble's wardrobe is extensive. Linen undergarments changed regularly, woolen outer garments in various colors, fur-lined cloaks for winter, fine leather boots, embroidered belts, jeweled brooches. His wife's dresses are masterpieces of tailoring, with yards of expensive fabric. Your cottage is one room, maybe 15 feet square, shared with your entire family and animals. The roof leaks. Wind whistles through gaps in the walls. The fire provides heat, but fills the space with smoke. In winter, it's bitterly cold. In summer, stifling and fly-infested. The manor house has multiple rooms. The great hall for public life, private chambers for the family, a chapel, kitchens, storerooms. Stone construction keeps it cool in summer, and massive fireplaces provide heat in winter. Privacy is possible. Space is abundant. Education and culture. You are illiterate. Reading and writing are skills you'll never acquire. Your knowledge comes from oral tradition, stories told by the fire, songs passed down, practical skills learned by watching parents and neighbors. The world beyond your village is largely unknown, mysterious, possibly dangerous. The noble's children receive education. They learn to read and write Latin, the language of the church and learning. They study theology, law, and history. Sons train in warfare and hunting. Daughters learn household management and perhaps music or embroidery. Some attend monastery schools or, if very wealthy, employ private tutors. This education gap perpetuates inequality. Legal documents, religious texts, administrative records, all require literacy. Without it, you depend entirely on others to interpret the world, leaving you vulnerable to manipulation and deception. The reality behind the myth. Our modern image of the Middle Ages is often romanticized: knights in shining armor, fair maidens, grand castles. The reality was far harsher. This was a world of staggering inequality, where your birth determined almost everything, where a noble's hunting dog ate better than most peasants, where life was, as one philosopher put it, nasty, brutish, and short, especially if you were born poor. The medieval economy ran on exploitation. You produced the food, built the castles, made the clothes, and received barely enough to survive. Nobles consumed, fought, and governed, living lives of relative comfort paid for by your suffering. This wasn't ancient history. These weren't abstract statistics. These were real people. Children who went to bed hungry every night. Mothers who buried baby after baby. Men whose bodies were destroyed by labor before age 40. Families torn apart by disease and violence. Yet you persevered. You loved your children, told stories around fires, hoped for better futures even when hope seemed foolish. Your resilience, your humanity in the face of such hardship, is perhaps the most remarkable thing about medieval life. Understanding this divide, this vast gulf between rich and poor in medieval England, helps us appreciate how far we've come and reminds us how fragile progress can be. The past is never as simple as we imagine, never as romantic as the stories suggest. It was real, it was hard, and for most people, it was a daily struggle just to survive. If you found this journey into medieval life eye-opening, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss where we're going next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the past.